Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, as seen on the web since 2007. I want to welcome everyone to our hazy, lazy, crazy day of summer show. It is the middle of July 2023, and my birthday's approaching, August 1st. Not looking forward to it. I don't count them anymore, but it is what it is. Anyway, I hope everyone's trying to make the best of this summer because of climate change, global warming. Southern Europe and the United States. The American Southwest and the American South is experiencing record high temperatures. I'm going to be reading some articles concerning that. Highest temperatures ever recorded in the history of the planet Earth in terms of recorded temperatures. Of course, when the Earth was young and there was molten magma everywhere, I'm sure that the temperatures on Earth were much hotter than, but we are experiencing an El Nino, which is warmer Pacific Ocean temperatures, but overall the temperatures of the ocean are warmer. Even North Atlantic ocean temperatures are unusually and abnormally warm because we're supposed to only have the El Nino in the Pacific Ocean, not the North Atlantic. But anyway, do what you need to do, people. If you're on a budget, go to Walmart and buy some room darkener drapes. That's what they're called, I believe. You can get the ones that are insulated with the rubber on one side, or you can just get the standard room darkener drapes and darken your windows. I normally would say darken the very bright southern and western windows where the hot afternoon sun beams on your home or apartment, but I would say darken them all. Darken them all. It would take a big strain off your air conditioning. And if you have a newer air conditioner like mine, put it on energy saver, select a good temperature. I have mine on 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It shuts on and off by itself, and keep the air condition filter clean. Very important. And when it's dirty, do what I do. Take it to the kitchen sink and just gently run your fingertips up and down both sides to clean the dust off and put it back. So with the room, with the windows darkened and the AC on the way I said, you should be able to survive what's going on. We have a message here. My good friend, the one and only, the legendary Ronald J. Tirio. Good afternoon, and Feliz Domingo to you, which is Happy Sunday in Spanish, to Ronald J. Tirio, who says, I bought those blackout drapes, and boy, do they help. They certainly do. And I had some from the house I was living in when my mother was alive, but my hometown. Yeah, I know what you meant. Hold on. Help. In Italian and Spanish, the word is ayuda. Help. Ayuda. Help me. Help me, Spock. Help me, Kirk. Remember that episode? Yeah, anyway, I had some of the insulated room darkener curtains of burgundy red, the ones with the rubber on one side. But I had them and I use them. Whatever ones were still good that weren't worn out. And I took them from the other house, and then the ones that the windows that I didn't have enough for, I got them at Walmart, and I had to get the extra long ones because it's an older apartment building and the windows are long. Okay. Let's see now. I'm going to mix this with homemade lemonade because Arnold Schwarzenegger says Germans mix beer with lemonade. But this is what I have, and I like it very much. Founders, those who know their beer, know Founders Brewery. I think it's in Michigan. This is the Oktoberfest Marzen lager made by Founders. And I like it very much. As you can see, as it comes in a beautiful can. One of my favorite, next to red, my favorite color, orange. Look at that. It's got like a German, I guess Munich, Bavarian village. I'm telling you, I highly recommend it. It's good. I got 12 pack for 20 bucks. So I'm going to open it. Ooh. I'm going to open it and mix it with my homemade lemonade that I squeezed myself, freshly squozen. And we'll see if Arnold Schwarzenegger knows what he's talking about. But I have two more on ice, so if I don't care for this lemonade mixture, then I will just drink the Marzen. All right. That's the Marzen mixed with the lemonade. I squeezed about 4 or 5 wedges with, I used the dry sugar cane, the turbinado sugar, the dry sugar cane juice. Okay, the Mexicans call it panela. No, canela is cinnamon. Panela. It's the Colombians, but anyway, it's the dry cane juice with the molasses in it. The molasses. Ah, may I say, a very refreshing summer drink. The combination is good. 50% ratio. Um, the only other founders I've had before this is the breakfast stout. You know, the one, isn't it the one with like a baby Archie Bunker on the front label? He looks like Archibald Bunker. That's pretty damn good, I tell you. The Germans have something there. I was reading, I wanted to get familiarized with Marzen craft beer, and I was reading about it, and it for a long time it was the especially it was created 200 years ago, the Marzen lager recipe, and it has been the official traditional beer of Munich's big Oktoberfest. Um, and then for some reason they went with a lighter fest beer because they wanted the tourists to be able to drink more beer. I say nuts to that. I'll stick with the robust lagers. I don't want any light namby-pamby beer. Okay. Ronald J. Tyrio says they removed the baby because some people were offended with a baby. You got to be kidding. This is I believe you, but this is funny. Some people were offended with a baby shown on a beer label. You know, people have too much time on their hands. They have nothing better to do than to nitpick. You know, it's like, you know, when I was that age, we weren't coddled and overprotected and spoiled. You know, we learned how to cross the street properly. Otherwise, you get flattened. You know, these kids. It's not the children that will look at the beer bottle and say, "Ooh, breakfast stout. Now I can drink this instead of eat you know, oatmeal, pablum, gruel, whatever you want to call it, porridge. I can drink the stout now." These guaranteed, it's these women that are bored homemakers that have really not much of a life, very, very mundane. Um, uh, they do the same thing day in and day out. They're bored. You know, their husband probably doesn't pay much attention to them, and sometimes rightfully so. And they find things to complain about. Oh, as a mother, I am offended by Founder's Breakfast Stout having a baby on the label. I am highly offended. There are more important things to worry about concerning your children uh, uh, instead of a baby being on a beer label. Believe me, school shootings, much more to worry about. This is small potatoes. This is nothing. Um, I don't know. Anyway, let me get to the articles. Thank you for that bit of news. So, so baby Archibald will not be on the breakfast stout label anymore. It's a shame. That's a shame. Hey, Brian. Snow White no longer has 7 dwarfs? Seriously? Why? Because they're called little people? You can't use the word midget and you can't use the word dwarf. So now you have to call them the little people? Or what about the wee people that the Irish used to call the fairies, the fae, the leprechauns? Oh, me gold, where's me gold? So their Snow White doesn't have any dwarf companions to tuck her in at night. Wait a minute. Brian, now they are now every disability and color or mythical creature. Like everybody's offended. So what's next? The Audubon Society is going to complain about the Baltimore Orioles cap with the cartoon Oriole face on it. They're going to say, "Oh, you're offending." You're offending the species of bird called the Baltimore Oriole. I mean, when does it end? When does it end? Live action movie. All right, let me get to these articles. Let's see. What do I? Yikes! I got too many topics. I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think I'll be able to cover them all. Okay. There we go. Natalie Peoples from Axios. The Supreme Court there's the Supreme Court falling from the sky. Chicken, they should have Chicken Little on the bottom saying, "Oh, the gavel's falling, the gavel's falling." The Supreme Court is falling off the pedestal it built for itself down into the muck of normal politics. Why it matters? That's increasingly how the public sees it. That's how the rest of the political system treats it. And it's getting harder and harder to believe the justices aren't interested in wielding that power. The big picture, the justices try very hard for a very long time to cultivate a perception that they existed on an elevated, uh, erudite plane far above the petty concerns that occupy elected politicians. They said the court's work was wholly separate from the considerations like public opinion, even when they had to take up a case with political implications. They approached it only as a question of legal scholarship, not sullied by ideology or policy preferences. That image is all but dead. When history looks back on the term that just ended, what stands out the most may not be any particular ruling, but rather its place in the trend. Long simmering, but quickly accelerating towards seeing the court for what it is, the single most powerful weapon in U.S. politics. Driving the news. At every turn, the court looks more like run-of-the-mill outcomes driven raw power politics. The unprecedented leak of a draft opinion in last year's abortion case was very much the type of leak that has historically only happened in other parts of the government. For that matter, so were the leaks about Chief Justice John Roberts switching his vote to save Obamacare in 2012. ProPublica uncovered ethics issues this year That would be a real controversy for anyone who had to get reelected to their powerful job. Wealthy GOP donors with interests before the court paid for luxury vacations for Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, who didn't disclose those gifts. ProPublica reported. Thomas also reportedly sold a family home to GOP donor Harlan Crow. The justices' reactions to controversy haven't helped. Alito, borrowing a page from any decent political operative's playbook, tried to get ahead of the story, pre-budding ProPublica's investigation with a Wall Street Journal op-ed. Okay. Let's see. Alito is probably the most willing of all the justices to speak his mind in public. He delivered a speech in 2021 dismissing criticism of the court's shadow docket as rank nonsense and has used public speeches to criticize COVID restrictions and the broad cultural acceptance of same-sex marriage. Confirmation hearings are a circus. Start the clock, that trend wherever you want. Robert Bork, Merrick Garland, take your pick. But we've ended up in a place where the Senate treats the process like a prize fight. It is not neutral intellectual pursuit as it was once framed. And then they go on and on. Well, I'm going to give you the gist of these articles because I have so many. I didn't realize it. I'm just going to continue. Let's see, what's this? Oh, gee. It's a little Chiseler's Hall of Shame. Oh, I don't have anything on that. What's wrong with this thing? Let's talk about the Gilgo beach killer being caught. Well, I'm trying to stay away from headline breaking news that's here today and gone tomorrow. I like to deal with more universal subjects. That rocker, Paul Mantia, called it all along that it was a white businessman. Oh, he's very perceptive. I just want to thank Paul Anthony Mantia from a wonderful live stream show I did last night with him, Northern Lights Tie-Dye TV, the debut. Okay. All right, there we go. U.S. bank pays $9 million fine for allegedly forcing customers to endure illegal credit card and billing practices. Incredible, huh? One of the largest banks in the U.S. will pay a $9 million fine for allegedly forcing its customers to suffer through illegal credit card and billing practices. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says Citizens Bank, which operates in 14 states and has $222 billion in assets, failed to properly respond to customers' credit card disputes and fraud claims. So you are inducted into the Chiseler's Hall of Shame. All right, Citizen Bank. The bank failed to reasonably investigate and resolve billing error notices and claims of unauthorized use by making customers jump through unnecessary and burdensome hoops. which are not required under the Truth in Lending Act to report for fraud. The bank also failed to fully credit customers' accounts when unauthorized use and billing errors occurred by sometimes not refunding all finance charges or fees owed to customers. The CFPB says the bank, which is based in Rhode Island, also failed to provide customers who submitted billing error notices with required acknowledgement and denial notices. Very unprofessional. Don't deal with this bank, folks. It also failed to disclose mandatory credit counseling information to people who called the bank's toll-free number specifically set up for that purpose. Well, I'm very happy that the fickle finger of fate, that karma, bit Citizens Bank on the ass like a crocodile. All right, crime doesn't pay, like Adam West used to say on Batman. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. That was Beretta. Don't do the crime if you can't. Oh, this is heartbreaking. Because I'm an animal lover. I think these creatures are cute as hell. They have a permanent built-in smile, and because of human greed, they are very endangered. Just like the ones that became extinct in the Yangtze River in China because of human error, human interaction. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't do it. He really should have been a police detective. Damn right. He's much better than that boring Peter Falk as Columbo. James P. Madonna cheers a bit early for the tea. Yeah, no tea, Tommy Carroll. I got the Founders Oktoberfest Marzen lager. I got 12 of them, so I might as well put them to good use, especially during the heat wave, the tropical heat wave that we're having. We're having a heat wave, tropical heat wave. Okay. Sad situation. But anyway. Amazon river dolphins are at great risk of extinction due to human activities. They're a lovely pink color. They have a long snout, big flippers. Very unique, lovely, inoffensive creatures. A recent study unveils the looming threats the Amazon River dolphins are facing from human activities such as fishing, dam construction, and river dredging. These beautiful creatures, known for their friendly nature and distinct pink hue, have found their survival challenge due to human interference in their habitats. Their species has lived in the vast river systems of the Amazon and Orinoco for at least 15 million years. Damn. It's horrible. Well, I wish them the best of luck, and I hope their rescue is going to be a multinational effort. You know, it's really a shame. Shame on you, humanity. All right, what do we got here? Now, as soon as I think I've heard everything from the lunatic governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, I haven't heard everything. I will never run out of material involving Ron DeSantis. All right. Miami Herald. Traveling to Florida, these out-of-state licenses may no longer be valid in the state. What? So, Ronald Terrio, if you wanted to drive to Florida, they're going to hassle you because you have Louisiana driver's license? Is that what this means? Are you planning to take a road trip to Florida this summer? Take note of your driver's license. A law enacted by Governor Ron DeSantis July 1st declared certain driver's licenses and learner's permits from 5 states invalid in Florida. Certain driver's, well, we'll find out. The restriction primarily affects undocumented immigrants and is part of a larger immigration law that critics argue is among the harshest in the country. Well, yeah, well, Ron DeSantis and Governor Abbott of Texas. Hey, Abbott. What's his name? Craig Abbott? Bud Abbott? They don't like immigrants. They send them north to all the Yankee Democrat states, all the Democrat states. They send all the immigrants there instead of processing them in their state, which happens to be on the borders. The law also cracks down on undocumented immigration by making it illegal to transport an undocumented person into the state and penalizing anyone who uses fake documentation to find work. Not every license from the 5 states on the list is considered invalid in Florida, just those labeled with certain conditions which are listed below. If drivers present one of the invalid driver's licenses when pulled over, they could be issued a citation for driving without a valid permit. Residents of the 5 states who don't have the designated conditions on their licenses shouldn't face citations if pulled over. These are the 5 invalid licenses and learner's permits with the conditions. Number 1, Connecticut. For not for federal identification. Delaware, driving privilege only or not valid for identification. Well, that's why I have a passport card with photo ID. There's a reason why I like to have more than one photo ID. Hawaii. I don't think anybody from Hawaii is going to drive across the Pacific Ocean. Screw you. Get lost. Microsoft wants me to do stuff. Get the hell out of here. Hawaii, limited purpose driver's license, limited purpose provisional driver's license, or not valid for use for official federal purposes. Rhode Island, not for federal identification, driver privilege card, or driver privilege permit. Vermont, not for real ID purposes, driver's privilege card. Who's this guy? with two tube steak. I'm sorry, he spelled it wrong. Tube steak in chief. With all the insurance mess and home improvement contracting fraud, especially in roofing in Florida, other states should end professional license reciprocity for insurance sales, claims adjustment, home improvement, contracting, and real estate appraisal and agents. And James says, another James, I was a licensed real estate broker in Florida for many years, and there was no reciprocity. When did that change? I question if there was reciprocity for the other named agents. A friend of mine who lives in an exclusive apartment complex in outside of Jacksonville pays a very high rent for Florida, $1,500 a month, and he's got to pay separate for water, for the sewage, a fee for garbage removal. He's got to pay for every damn thing. I never heard of a tenant paying for the water bill. I told him, you might as well buy a house and put it towards a mortgage. It's crazy. I told him to come on the show and tell you a story. You know, he's nervous. What are you nervous about? They're not doing you any favors, Chief. I told him. Oh, gee. Look at this one. Tommy Carroll says, JPM, do you think Biden was pandering for votes with the college loan thing? Yeah, because he hasn't signed away student loan debt yet. What is he waiting for? Plus, the last time he signed any executive orders was after he took the oath of office. He hasn't done any of that. He hasn't stacked the Supreme Court with progressives to counter all the fascists that Donald Trump appointed. He hasn't done that. He hasn't changed the tax system back to the way it was before Reagan sent the rich on a tax vacation for decades. He hasn't done that. The middle class still carry the burden of taxation. So I don't know. Honestly, Joe Biden is just the lesser of the two evils. He's a panderer. He's a pandering establishment, corporatist Democrat. I didn't support him. I supported Bernie Sanders, who capitulates all the time. I call him Raisin Ball Sanders. He always capitulates. Instead of forming a new third progressive party of the people, he has this pipe dream of trying to save the Democrat Party. He said, it's not going to happen. They're in bed with the oligarch. They're too corrupt. They're too far gone. Forget it. Stick a fork in that turkey. It's done. They're just they got this hipster pipe dream, like Barney the dinosaur, that goofy, retarded purple dinosaur. They used to say, I love you, you love me. Yeah, no. You can't negotiate with evil. There's no way you can do that. There is no compromise when it comes to those that do not have your best interest. All right. Where are we? They don't have your best interest. If they don't have your best interests in reality, you shouldn't be wasting your vote on them. China's latest export after fentanyl, COVID-19, is counterfeit postage stamps. Great balls of fire. Great balls of fire, people. Counterfeit postage stamps. Well, the last thing they sent over here was the balloons. Like F Troop. It is balloon. Remember? The chief of the Hakawi Indians? We're the Hakawi. There's been an alarming rise in made in China counterfeit postage stamps here in America. I would play the audio, but it's not picked up. For some reason, it's not picked up by the microphone of the streaming company. I don't know why. The U.S. Postal Service, USPS, has been struggling for years, saddled with an outmoded business model and huge retiree pension liabilities. And now, added to its inflationary and management woes, comes a new threat. Counterfeit stamps from China, marketed online through paid ads on Google and Facebook. Well, that figures. Zuckerberg is involved in everything sleazy, among other platforms. Counterfeiting currency, bonds, or other government paper of value is a form of warfare. The British printed continental paper dollars to undermine the American economy during the Revolutionary War. The Union encouraged counterfeiting against the Confederacy during the Civil War, and North Korea has been known for passing fake $100 Federal Reserve notes called super notes. To that record of profitable fakery, we can add a new entry. Made in China, USPS Forever stamps, sold for as little as 7.7 cents each, 88% off the official price of 63 cents each. And better yet, one printer even boasts of featuring anti-counterfeiting detection ink that looks like official postage under ultraviolet light. Incredible, huh? The rapid increase in the use of counterfeit stamps prompted the USPS to issue a statement last February noting a surge in the use of counterfeit postage with its use or sale, a crime because it seeks to obtain services without payment. Yeah, no shit. That's obvious. The Postal Service went on to announce its intention to revise its regulations on the handling of mail and packages found to be using counterfeit postage, suggesting that such mail will be considered abandoned and subject to opening and destruction. The new policy went into effect on July 9th. Yeah, they are sort of archaic the way they're run. Without boring people with the usual mumbo jumbo, I cut to the chase, and that's it. Another Ron DeSantis Okay, it's a nice photo of tourists crossing a walkway over the Everglades. Experiencing the national park. I think that was a great idea. I wouldn't, if it's really hot, I would not recommend taking a dip. Florida's environmental failures are a warning for the rest of the U.S. Florida Jeff Vandermeer is a Floridian. Oh, no, that's the person who wrote the article. Early in the 20th century, engineers blew up waterfalls and rapids in Miami rivers to clear the way for a canal. Wildcats scattered and fish floated to the surface, paralyzed. As legend has it, at least one alligator body went flying in the explosion, gawked at by local dignitaries. Dynamite and dredging were the tools chosen to drain the Everglades and tame the waters. Yeah, not caring about the animals who depend on it, right? What once belonged to the Tequesta Native Americans, amid a wealth of wildlife, became parking lots and hotels owned by white people. Today, many of those parking lots are submerged during storms. Aha! Mother Nature takes revenge. And that doesn't count all the sinkholes in Florida. That's more of karma from Mother Nature. Submerged during storms, and in some areas, the hotels overlook waters toxic with industrial and construction waste. Believe me, greedy people, corrupt people are never off the hook forever. Eventually, Gaia, the spirit of Mother Earth will will get them. They'll cook their goose. Florida is what the hell? Bellwether for the rest of the nation. The surge water rise that besets Miami today will soon enough beset states ranging from California to New York. The state of necessity should be a leader in U.S. climate resiliency, but rather than acknowledge a crisis and build out a holistic approach to climate change, Florida, led by Governor Ron DeSantis, denies the urgency and applies a hodgepodge of contradictory initiatives designed for short-term applause. Some come with a large amount of money attached, while the state simultaneously ignores the peril of poorly regulated industrial-scale farming, ranching, and development that intensifies the crisis. Ruinous policy in Florida affects 11 million acres of wetlands, thousands of lakes, more than 1,300 miles of coastline, and hundreds of freshwater springs from rock pine to salt marsh, from sandhill scrub to lush semi-tropical ravines, and dozens of other unique ecosystems. The point lost on DeSantis and the Republican legislature is that these are not tourist sites housed in an amusement park, but vital parts of the actual world that humans occupy and need to thrive, perhaps even survive. Oh, poor humans. It's crazy. Shame on you, Ron DeSantis. Shame, 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 shame. Yeah, you know what? Let me do this. This is about the greedy organization called the Home Owners Association, the HOA. But before I continue with the HOA and their dirty deeds, I must visit the restroom. Maybe it's a combination of the Oktoberfest Marzen with the homemade lemonade. I think it might be. I think it might be. Okay. Before I visit the restroom, I will go to Ronald J. Theriot. Ronald J. Theriot, I was thinking about going back to the Everglades next month. I'd like to walk some trails, but would not want to encounter a Florida panther or crocodile. Well, the American crocodile, which is pretty huge, uh, they live amongst the saltwater marsh area of the mangroves. They live amongst the mangroves. It's a saltwater crocodile. They're quite huge. They're not infamous like the Nile crocodile, but I would not want to get close to them and pet them on the head. Let's put it that way. Um, Florida panthers are a very small version of the pumas out west, but they are a cougar. You know, it's even worse. They've seen not many, but they've seen a few jaguars in southern Arizona, southern New Mexico, because I didn't know. I just thought they were tropical rainforest big cats, but they also are in the mountainous forested areas of the desert, um, and they have the strongest bite of any cat in the world at 1,800 pounds per square inch. Lovely, right? All right, hold on. No, yeah, I gotta visit the restroom. Bear with me, folks. Okay, I'm back. Oh, that felt good. All right. Police called on property owners after HOA increases monthly fees to $350. Naranja Lakes, a homeowners association meeting at the Mandarin Lakes neighborhood in Naranja Lakes, went off the rails. I wish they'd tell us where Naranja Lakes is. The Tuesday night meeting was cut short after residents say the cops were called by the HOA. Furious community members say the meeting escalated when the HOA board told residents their monthly fee would increase to $350 a month. Yeah, that doesn't even mention the dictatorial practices of the HOA, where you have to get permission for absolutely every little thing. Furious community members say the meeting, okay, the issue is that the HOA fee is going up for the second time in 1 year, and we are given short notice about the increase, and a lot of things on the new budget don't make sense, said resident Zoe Sosa. Sosa says, One of the things that doesn't make sense is how residents are still paying auto insurance for the security cars that canvass the community. You believe this? When when security is now riding around in golf carts. So they're ripping off the homeowners, uh, paying for the insurance on cars that are not used anymore because the security rides around on golf carts. So unbelievable. That's the second inductee into Chiseler's Hall of Shame is this HOA Naranja Lakes. I wish they mentioned where the hell this is. We haven't seen any refund from the previous budget. What happened with the cars? What happened with the maintenance of the cars and what's going on, says Sosa. In addition to the price hike and security, residents say there are broken amenities, cars getting constantly towed, and violent crimes happening in the neighborhood. Ew, where is this place? These residents tell us when they bring these problems up to the HOA, it falls on deaf ears. Well, when somebody's ripping you off, it will fall on deaf ears. You got to take legal action. They discredit me and tell me basically go away. This is how it is. If you don't like it, move out, says Kirsten Marty. Oh, good. We reached out to Mandarin Lakes about the residents' concern, and we were provided a statement explaining that the neighborhood had no choice but to amend its budget after receiving the 2023 budget from the Community Association. Now residents say they're taking matters into their own hands in hopes of making changes at Mandarin Lakes. There is a town hall for the community scheduled to happen in September. Let me see if they even mentioned where. Oh, so it has to be in Florida. So the publication is CBS News Miami, so it's in Florida. Florida again. Unbelievable. Florida is supposed to be like an area where people move to live a happy life of fun and frolic. Okay, I'm going to have to zip through some of these. Zippity doo dah. It's even hot. It's even hot in Antarctica, where it's winter now. All right, Antarctica isn't immune to the recent heat baking much of the planet. It could affect the rest of the world. Well, I read the article, and apparently a heat wave in the winter in Antarctica is 18 degrees Fahrenheit, where it should be far below zero. Now, 18 degrees Fahrenheit is very strange and unusually warm. Most of the world's ice is in Antarctica. But Antarctica is a continent. There's land underneath the many miles of ice. There are mountains there. It's not the Arctic Ocean like the North Pole. Temperature records are falling around the world as a strong El Nino brews in the Pacific Ocean. And summer rises in the northern hemisphere. The planet recently experienced the hottest day and hottest June ever recorded, but some of the most alarming heat right now is occurring far away from most of humanity in Antarctica, where it's currently winter. Record low early winter sea ice around Antarctica. So it's definitely a reduction of sea ice compared to the norm. It's winter because anything south of the equator, uh, the seasons are the opposite of what's happening north of the equator. It's summer here, therefore it's winter there. I heard that water goes down the drain counterclockwise south of the equator. I do not know how true that is, but this is what I heard. And it goes on and on. Daily Antarctic sea ice extent from 1979 to 2023. You know, if all of the polar ice melted, the article says somewhere, let me see if I can find it, the sea level will rise over 190 feet. So say goodbye to all coastal cities. I'm just trying to get the gist of this, being that I have so many articles to go through. So, anyway, yeah, that's a fact. Coastal cities will be gone, or every coastal city will be like Venice, Italy. We've been having thunderstorms here for a couple days. It hasn't really helped with the steam bath outside, you know. Every day, about 90 degrees with humidity, high humidity. But I shouldn't really complain too much because Ronald is experiencing worse down in southern Louisiana. It's this. Uh, when I complete this half of progressive discussions, I will start um, um, Red Pill Man Cave, which means I send out links for the panelists to come aboard, and people that wish to can come aboard the show and discuss anything they want. Okay. Welcome to the dollar war. A global battle over cash will decide who rules the world economy. Here is the painting of a very annoyed Ben Franklin. I don't think he was happy. Pose for the $100 bill. While the US dollar won't be replaced as the world's favorite currency overnight, a concerted effort to eat into its dominance has the chance to erode the greenback's place in the world. All right, the US dollar isn't just for Americans. Every country in the world relies on it. The greenback has been facilitating the flow of money and goods around the world for over a century. Buying or selling oil, usually done with dollars. Countries issuing government debt, usually the price of those bonds is in US dollars. For generations, the greenback has been the safe haven for investors when markets crash and systems go haywire. The US even reminded everyone just how influential the buck is when it effectively froze Russia out of the global financial system with sanctions last year. But if you listen to certain corners of the financial world and internet, dollars reign as the world's financial instrument of choice could be coming to an end. Motivated by a mix of politics and economics, countries from Israel and France to Russia and China have signaled they're looking to start doing more business in a currency other than the US dollar. Central banks have also started to tiptoe away from the dollar, with currencies like the Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, and euro taking up a growing portion of global reserves. These doom and gloom scenarios are overblown, financial experts told me. But in classic conspiracy fashion, there is a kernel of truth to the freak out if you look hard enough. The percentage of financial transactions done in US dollars has slipped over the past few decades, and the percentage of countries' cash reserves that are held in dollars has been sliding. These shifts, while notable, don't mean the US dollar's dominance is going to end anytime soon. There may be changes around the edges, but as the Stanford finance professor Jens Zhu told me, there's still no viable alternative to cold hard American cash. In other words, the gloom and doom is not coming anytime soon, so don't hold your breath. It's just something that that international finance is contemplating for reasons that probably involve the U.S. economy going down into the abyss gradually. Oh, all right. I was surprised to see this article. I guess you can call it good news. Earth's atmosphere can clean itself. Groundbreaking research finds. Scientists have made a groundbreaking discovery that could change the way we think about air pollution. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine, have found that a strong electric field between airborne water droplets and surrounding air can create a molecule called hydroxide by a previously unknown mechanism. Okay, hydroxide. This molecule is crucial in helping to clear the air of pollutants, including greenhouse gases and other chemicals. But that doesn't mean we continue to pollute. This should not be an excuse to continue the damage. The discovery is outlined in a new paper published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, which suggests that the traditional thinking around the formation of the hydroxides in the atmosphere is incomplete. Until now, it was thought that sunlight was the primary driver of this hydroxide formation, but this new research shows that hydroxide can be created spontaneously by the special conditions on the surfaces of water droplets. You need hydroxide to oxidize hydrocarbons, otherwise they would build up in the atmosphere indefinitely, said Sergei Nizhkorodov, a University of California, Irvine professor of chemistry, who was part of the research team. All right, so some promising. Something promising, but no excuse to continue polluting our world. Okay, now we get into climate change, global warming. I just want to say greetings, good morning, Masumi. Yes, Masumi from the suburbs of Tokyo, Japan. Good morning. And it is now, let's see, 5:13 a.m. Monday in southeastern Japan. I mean, in the Tokyo region. So good morning to you, Masumi, and thank you for stopping by. Okay. This one here. Death Valley could reach the hottest temperature to ever be reliably measured on Earth. See, there's a stop sign, I guess, for those that want to go hiking. And there are people that are, I would do it, but I would be prepared. Stop extreme heat danger. Walking after 10 a.m. is not recommended. I remember this show when I was a kid called Death Valley Days. Death Valley Days. A heat advisory warning sign in Death Valley, California, which is, I believe, in the Mojave Desert in southeastern California. Intense, relentless heat waves have become the new normal, fueling climate change and exacerbating droughts and wildfires. June was the hottest month on record, but July is set to be even worse. The beginning of the month was Earth's hottest week on record, per early data from the World Meteorological Organization. Excessive heat warnings and heat advisories now cover over 100 million people in the United States per National Weather Service. The climate in the West is particularly punishing. California's Death Valley could topple the hottest temperature recorded this weekend amid what the U.S. National Weather Service dubbed sweltering and dangerous heat. Well, Southern Europe and the American Southwest is now experiencing ultra hot heat waves from climate change. An organization urged citizens to practice heat safety, such as staying hydrated and avoiding strenuous outdoor activity. Yeah, like you're foolish enough to go jogging in over 100 degrees. Summer temperatures in the infamously dry national park often top 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 49 degrees Celsius according to the National Park Service. That's because the surrounding mountains trap hot air in the valley's long and narrow basin. Heat could surpass 130 degrees Fahrenheit this weekend, the record for the hottest temperature ever reliably measured on Earth, according to the Scientific American. Well, they say it's dry heat, and there's a huge difference in dry heat compared to humid heat, but 130 degrees of dry heat, well, just think of a pizza oven. You wouldn't want to stick your head in one. People in Phoenix, Arizona have also been treated for second-degree burns caused by red-hot sidewalks. What are they doing touching the red-hot sidewalk? According to The Independent, temperatures have soared above 110 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 weeks. The U.S. is not an anomaly. Heat waves are scorching Europe, the Middle East, and southeastern Turkey, and Morocco has issued an alert for extreme heat for parts of the country. Humans have released so much carbon dioxide and methane that it has changed the Earth's climate, contributing to more frequent and long-lasting extreme weather events. Consecutive years of drought and above-average temperatures have made Uruguay's only freshwater reservoir almost dry. More than half of the country's population doesn't have access to safe tap water, per The Guardian. Climate stresses are also hitting northern Argentina and southern Patagonia. Similarly, in Iraq, water shortages are having a knock-on effect on agriculture and food production. The extreme weather, an increasingly frequent occurrence in our warming climate, is having a major impact on human health, ecosystems, economies, agriculture, energy, and water supplies. This underlines the increasing urgency of cutting greenhouse gas emissions as quickly and as deeply as possible. Yeah, and stop cutting and stop destroying the rainforests, which are the lungs of the planet Earth. Uh, World Meteorological Organization Secretary General Petteri Tala said, all right, okay. Let's see if I have time for one more. Death Valley Days. Well, oof. Well, it's not a big article, but pretty much uh, recaps what I just mentioned. Actually, all the other climate change heat wave articles recap what I had just mentioned. Let's see. The heat wave scorching the U.S. is a self-perpetuating monster. The current record highs in the U.S. are thanks to a heat dome, and it's expected to get worse through the weekend. Yes. Mentions the forest fires in Canada that we know so well here in the Northeast from the droughts, it's like they get in California. Yeah, but it's a dry heat. Forest fire is a dry heat, right? Let's see what we got here. The heat dome is essentially stagnation. It forms as a strong high-pressure system. As that air descends to the ground, it compresses and significantly warms up. A few thousand feet up, air might be 80 degrees, but it can reach 100 degrees once it hits the land. Well, it's a dome, I think the normal presence of trade winds has significantly diminished this summer, which is not good. This descending cap of hot air perpetuates for days or even weeks. It discourages the formation of clouds, allowing the sun's energy to hit the landscape full force, further raising ground temperatures. At the beginning of a heat dome, moisture get lost. Now they want me to subscribe. Moisture in the dirt and plants evaporates away, somewhat cooling the landscape. It's sweating basically, but as the heat continues for days on end, the moisture runs out and the temperature climbs higher. Well, it's definitely doom and gloom. There's no doubt about that. Let me see. It's probably finished. Let me check the other ones. Talks about the Southwest, which we all know about. The Southwest. Yep. What's this? A scorching heat wave now intensifies across the southern half of Europe, with over 45 degrees Celsius coming for Spain, Italy, and Greece as we head into next week. Well, it's pretty much what I mentioned before. Let's see. All right, that should do it. That should do it. I just want to say, Masumi says, thanks, James, for your reply. You're very welcome, Masumi. Now, if you bear with me, I will send out the links for those that want to come on the show and talk about anything they want. I couldn't believe that. So the baby Archibald bunker on the label of Founder's Breakfast Stout was removed because it offended people. And that's just the tip of the iceberg about all the other things that were eliminated because it offended someone, thin-skinned people that expect us all to walk on eggshells. Hey, what's going on here? All right, bear with me, folks. I always say that, but bear with me anyway. Bear with me. Okay, and then we have all right. So as we wait to see which panelists are available, we will continue with the show. So whoever's listening now, what do you feel like talking about? Yeah. What do you feel like talking about, folks? Oh, there he is. The one and only, my right-hand man.
Can you hear me?
Who got a haircut?
Yeah, no, got rid of the gray and it's too dark.
You had your hair colored and cut.
Yeah.
Cut and colored.
Hold on, I'm trying to get my Bluetooth here.
Cut and colored. I'm sucking down the Founders Oktoberfest Marzen lager.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Founders a good company. You know what Ronald Theriot told me earlier in the show, that because of certain people that were offended, they took the baby photo off of Founders Breakfast Stout label because it's a baby on the label of a beer.
Weird. Anything to upset the masses.
Yeah, I mean, people have nothing better to do with their time than to see what little bullshit, nitpicky bullshit that they can be offended by. And Florida is what happened? What happened to your microphone? Hello? Check your microphone. You put your earbuds in, right? Check the microphone. Huh. No, I still don't hear you. I still don't hear you. Yeah, he hasn't. He's using an iPhone, and they force Safari. Ooh, you try to come back, even though people with iPhones might use Google Chrome, like I used to when I had an iPhone before I smartened up and got an Android, right? They would force Safari on people to bypass um, or to prevent you from using Mozilla or Chrome. Well, as I'm waiting for Mick to straighten out his technical issue and come back. But there he is. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always that game. It's always some game to play every time.
Oh, fuck them.
Yeah, speaking of unlandish bullshit, Sapporo, Japan bought Anchor Steam, the oldest brewery in the U.S., 127 years old, and the motherfuckers are shutting it down. And
Anchor,
they make a delicious IPA. It's some of the best.
Anchor's team is probably the second to Yinling in age.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. But it's a very old brewery, and
Oh, they're not making money. Well, guess what? Good beer is not always made to make money. It's not Bud Light. It's not yak urine.
some
It's really
people
good beer.
some people eat quality food and drink quality beverages. They drink for the flavor and not just to get a buzz,
And
right?
the quality as well. They're not secondhand buds being run through a fucking sieve somewhere to make a light beer.
Right. And they're not laden with preservatives and other chemicals.
Yeast, sugar.
Well,
You need a certain amount of yeast, but some of them use too much yeast.
now yeast and malt, just like
And barley.
hops, there are many different varieties.
Exactly.
Some beer products, they mix different types of hops, different types of yeast. Sometimes they use one type of yeast. There's a science to craft beer. That's why they call it craft beer.
Brewmeisters. They're meisters of their craft.
They're mices of the craft. They blend certain things. Like for instance, I happen to think that good, not mass produced macro corporate, but good German style wheat beer happens to be very, very refreshing in the summer when it's ice cold. But
Yes,
that's
with a
all.
wedge of lemon.
Yes, there's something about wheat beer where it has that crisp, like,
Hocker Shore makes a great wheat beer.
and there's one that I like called Aventinus, the German wheat beer, Weiss
Weiss
beer.
beer, yeah, that's the style. When I was mentioning brewmeisters, all of Mexico, German brewmeisters went there and taught them how to make beer. And Mexico makes better beer, mass-produced beer, than the United States. The United
Without a doubt,
States doesn't follow any of the traditions of the Meisterbrows or any of it. It's a
Mode-
shame. It's Coors
Modelo,
Light, Bud Light. That's not beer.
no,
That's mass
Modelo,
produced.
yeah, Modelo blows away.
Oh, I
Any,
love
any,
yeah,
yeah.
Modelo Negro with a lime is freaking delicious.
Well, even the lager, Modelo Especial,
Yes.
it blows away all of the United States mass-produced corporate breweries.
I think Budweiser is owned by Modelo now. I think there's some big, these beer companies are buying each other up left and right, and Stella owns Budweiser, and they own I think they own Corona. I mean, it's crazy what's going on behind the scenes in
Yeah.
beer.
Oh, yeah. Corona is owned by Modelo. It's a light. It might be a pilsner. It's a
People say
light.
that Corona is like old style in Mexico. It's not widely regarded as some great beer.
Well, now they have one called Modelo Gold or Modelo Oro. Oro is Spanish for gold, and it's their light lager. It's their light. Me, I don't like. I now I was reading up on Marzen. Oktoberfest Marzen is a lager, but it's the original traditional beer of the big Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany, the big festival.
And it
October,
follows the German purity laws, or they won't allow them to make it.
right. Now, all of a sudden, this lighter fest beer, this lighter lager, is the new traditional beer of Oktoberfest because they want people to be able to drink more of it. Oh, what?
Oh,
They can't handle a traditional dark lager, the babies.
those are the best kind, the smoothest. Oh man, I got some 9% beer over the weekend. Here, let me go over peruse the old fridge here in the basement. Here's my Anchor Steam 12 pack I saved for myself, and that's too good to save. You got to drink that. Did you see that, James?
Well,
So, salute.
thank you. What you got to do is you got to you got to save some of the bottles and
I'll save the bottles.
save the cardboard too because it if Anchor Steam really forced to go belly up. Oh, what's that? Is that an
This
Anchor?
is from Canada. It's
Oh,
Unibro.
could you take off your video mirror? Because the letters are all backwards. Well,
Um,
you go to the
how do I
road.
do that? I honestly don't know how to do
All right,
that.
listen. Right
Oh,
below.
hold on a second. I'm not a whiz at the camera. Sorry. So
No,
everything's backwards.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you the easy way to do it.
Yes, sir.
Right below the video,
Mm-hmm.
on the right side, you'll see like a rotary icon.
Yes.
That's the settings. You
Yes.
click on that, and then you would click on video.
Video background or video?
No, just click on
Yes, sir.
video,
Okay.
and there's
Mirror camera. Turn that
uncheck
off.
uncheck that. No mirrored.
Yes, sir.
No mirrored. All right, and uncheck that, and
All
then
right.
click that away.
Okay.
Click anywhere, and let's see. Hey, hold on. No, you got to straighten out the bottle so I can read it. There you Unibrow Troy Pistolis.
This is 9%. They have like 3 different beers that are 9%.
See, now I can see it. Now I can read it.
And you down like 2 or 3 of these and you're set for the evening.
That reminds me of this porter, this Polish porter, from Zviech with a Z. Their porter from Poland. That
Yes.
that one bottle knocked me on my ass.
Oh, here's a couple more of the brands. Can you
Good,
see
good,
that,
good.
James?
La fin du monde. Monde is
Yeah,
world, means world.
9%. Don Diego,
Uh-huh.
9%. Yeah, those are sweet. Those are sweet, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, a couple, 2, 3 of those, you're set for the evening. You don't drink too much. You're not blitzed. You're buzzed. They're enjoyable.
yeah.
Have you ever seen the Founders? I think they have a beer called Dirty Bastard.
I heard about it.
That's a good one. That's like 8% at least.
8%.
So I start my new job tomorrow. I'm very excited. I've been unemployed for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, I heard.
So
I was gonna say, yeah, tomorrow is your debut at your new job.
yeah, I'm very excited to get back in the workforce,
I
get
hope.
a fair paycheck. Unemployment's just a fraction of what I was making.
Let me knock on wood to bring so you don't get jinxed because
I'm good. I
you
won
can't.
that job with personality at my interview and moxie.
Yeah, but you don't want to give yourself a hex.
No,
Hopefully
I'm on a hot streak. I got a really good paying job with excellent benefits. I'm doing well.
well, I'm not talking about the job itself. I'm not talking about.
Life.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about coworkers. I'm talking about.
Oh yes,
I'm
yes.
talking about. I'm talking about humanoids, stupid
The
visors.
evil empire.
Stupid visors.
Yeah, that say and do things that no one in their right mind would, except for they think it's a good thing to say and
They
do.
just like they just are on a power trip. They like to harass everybody under.
Yeah,
You know,
and then they don't even look in the mirror and say, "I wonder if someone talked to me like that, how I'd feel." No, they never do. They never treat people the way that they want to be treated. They treat
yeah.
people totally ridiculous.
I'm not a people person. I'm a certain people person, specific people person. There are people that I like where there's chemistry and I get along with them. There's compatibility, either the personalities click or maybe we have things in common. And then there are people that I just loathe, that I despise.
I've worked with many that I loathe, and I just bite my lip and move on. Move on. You know, I can't. I'm not in a role to get rid of them. So you know,
Yeah.
you have to take a certain amount of hate. There's a song by Thin Lizzy. It's called "Those That Love to Live." It says you got to take a certain amount of hate from those who love to live.
Is
It's a
that like
shame too.
is that the same as picking and choosing your battles?
I think it's survival is what they're talking about, and yeah, I work with some real doozies. And let me tell you something. It's a battle of the sexes. Even if you're not battling, they're battling with you. Some of them,
Yeah,
and
because
they're pulling rank on you because they're threatened by you, and it's
well,
real unprofessional.
they're desperately trying to prove something because they're a woman in the workforce.
You know, I respect a person for who they are, not based on their gender. And if they're insulting me, no matter what their gender is, I don't respect them. And they
They,
can fantasize. You know,
yeah.
respect through fear is the worst kind. You know, in the military, that's how you get shot by your own people. So you don't earn respect with fear. Kindness begets kindness.
You
You know,
become you become a victim of friendly fire.
yeah, you go the extra mile for someone that's genuinely kind to you and treats you well. You know, those that put your back up against the wall and, threaten to have the firing squad at you at work, that you're not going to do anything extra. You're just trying to get out of there. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Hold on. Ronald says, Ronald from southeastern Louisiana, who's experiencing horrible heat and humidity. No, actually,
My,
it's been dry there, I heard. But
what does he say?
he says, my supervisor will talk to me in a manner that makes me bite my tongue. But I always say to myself, every dog has its day.
Yes, I can relate to that. Oh, Ronnie, I can relate to that. You have to bide your time, bite your tongue, choose your battles. Sometimes I say something smart to their smart comment, and maybe it makes them think twice about haranguing me or harassing me. I mean, I don't try to create conflict, but I let them know I know what you're doing to me. You're harassing me,
Well,
and I'm letting you know about it.
certain industries, I'm not. I know in the office there are difficult people because
Office politics.
office politics. Like my mother used to have problems with other females in the office because they're very catty, they're very jealous and nitpicky. But
Cat fight.
but she got along perfectly with male supervisors because my mother was she was sort of a fashion plate and she looked very nice and she went to work and the girls used to talk behind her back. But
Jealousy does that. Girls talk.
yeah, girls, yeah.
There's a song called Girls Talk that Elvis Costello covered of Nick Lowe. Lipstick and powder can't hide the girls talk.
girls talk. But certain industries, like when I worked with seafood,
Retail is
yeah,
brutal.
retail, the people are brutal because only, usually only, let's put it this way, the cream of the crop, creme de la creme, usually doesn't make a lifetime career out of a retail job.
Yeah, you're on your feet 24/7 retail,
Yeah,
usually.
retail, food service, they usually attract many dysfunctional individuals, and because nobody's going to put up with that type of a job as a career for their whole life.
No.
They
Yeah.
might they might be might be retired. They receive a good pension, and they want something to do, so they get a little part-time job, in whatever, a little part-time job where they don't have to think too hard, just to get out of the house or to have some spending money. But as far as people that make careers out of retail and supermarkets and everything, you will buck heads with them like you will, like Ronald says, every dog has his day. You
Yeah.
you have fantasies of strangling them
Yeah.
where there's no
Yeah.
witnesses around, man. They get
Yeah, exactly.
that piano wire and just wrap it around their neck. Really, I hated this. I've gone home hating their stinking guts. Some of the supervisors I had. Hey,
Hey,
every
before I forget, I wanted to bring up that subject of the cocaine in the White House. Everyone's got these theories, and let me tell you something. I'm pretty sure a Republican brought that in and are trying to say it's Hunter Biden's. That's my guess.
Hunter Biden's, it could be.
I'm no, I'm saying they're
Yeah.
trying to do something bad to the administration by
Oh, it was
bringing that in
planted.
there.
You think
I think so.
it was planted? Oh, Ronald
Yeah,
says I run into issues with women at work, typically who have this passive aggressive attitude. See, I try to be friendly, no agenda. I say good morning, Candace. Yeah,
and
you
they
try.
respond, "Hey."
Hey, just yeah. Well, next time, just say one word: morning,
That's what
morning,
I usually do. Morning.
morning. Now if you were to said morning, 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 toots,
Oh, you'd be up Shit's Creek without a
it
paddle.
could be a problem. They
He
go.
called me Toots. I couldn't stand it.
I always thought that was a funny word for women, toots.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Toots.
Hey, 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 morning, Candace. Hey,
Hey, hey.
hey, 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 hey. Or like my grandmother used to say, "Hay is for horses." Hey, 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 hey. Ronnie S. Are you? Good afternoon, Master James, and don't forget Master Mick Von Raven or Massa Raven, Mass Massa Raven. Listen, why don't are you by the poolside? Why don't you try to come on again? Come on down. The water is fine.
Call her sweetie. Yeah, that's not. Hey, honey. Hey, sweetie.
How about Poopsie,
Well, women could call men sweetie and honey, but if you call them sweetie and honey, you'd probably be in trouble.
Tweety? I knew somebody that had trouble pronouncing words, and they said Tweety instead of Sweetie.
Hey, sweetie, Tweety.
Tweety, call her Tweety. Ron, Sweetie. No, call her Toots.
Yeah, Ronnie says he has to grit his teeth. Yeah, there's 1,000 stories in the Naked City of the work things. Yeah, I've had people say some of the almost outlandish shit to me ever at work, and you can't even believe they're saying it out loud. You're like, really? And you still have a job after saying that? But it happens. It
Unbelievable.
happens.
Uh, 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 you know, Yeah, I mean, good thing I'm not there because if they try to abuse Ronald, I would say I want to body slam you right through a table, a power bomb you through a table from the top turnbuckle.
All right, all right.
Tweety, Tweety, hey you, good morning. I'm looking at you. Hey, you. No, no, not him. You. I'm looking at you. Morning, morning.
Yeah,
Ah,
a lot of people, when you say morning to them, they just ignore you. That's the worst. They don't say anything.
well, then you don't say nothing the next day.
Yeah. Well, I'm anticipating good times ahead at work for me. I think it's going to be a positive work environment, and I think I'm going to do well.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Who was that? Earth, Wind, and Fire or something? Who did?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Earth, wind, broke wind at a fire.
Yeah, forest fire,
um,
like the Canadian forest fire that I
that
hear.
burns on and on.
I hear there's still particles in the
Yeah.
atmosphere from that. Well, the air quality hasn't been great, really.
No, it's been down big time.
We've had
I
bad air
did.
quality in
I did
Chicago.
go on a. Yeah. I did go on a good bike ride. I did about 4 miles before the show. So speaking of air quality, Ronnie, you should come on the show. You look like you have a lot to say, bro.
You never know.
Be good to see you.
Maybe the Wi-Fi is working good today. You never know.
Yeah, by the pool maybe.
By the piscina, as they say in Spanish, the piscina.
So is Ronnie's nickname is Jay? Should I be? You don't have to call me
No,
Ray, but you call me Jay.
no, two different people. No, they're both Ronald.
I
But
got
yeah, this is Ronald J. Terrio is from Louisiana. So
okay.
the other one
Sorry, Ron and Ronald, and I'm getting you all confused and such as.
celebrate good time. Come on. Da, da,
Yes,
da,
we
da.
got Ronnie S and then Ronald J.
My
All right, I've
boss,
got my scorecard figured out. Thank you,
come
James.
on down. Come on board. My
Dig
boss,
that.
my my name isn't Ronald. He says.
Yeah, it was on your birth certificate, but
On
maybe
your,
you don't go by that.
hey you, hey, what's on your birth certificate? All right, let
Go and
me
get some cayenne pepper. Some
cayenne pepper. I guarantee.
yeah, with that heavy accentuated accent for the TV show.
Well, yeah, he made it like
Yeah,
more.
he hammed it up big time.
He hammed it up, and he had the red suspenders every day
Yeah.
shirt. Justin
What was
Wilson.
it? Yeah, the
Justin.
Louisiana cook, Justin Wilson. Yeah.
Okay, my boss with give me two orders. Well, my boss will give me two orders. If I do order number one, it will counteract order number two. If I follow order number two, it will counteract order number one, but I'll get fussed, let's say.
Who's
In other
on
words,
first? What's on second?
yeah, in other words, your boss is an nincompoop,
A moron.
an imbecile.
My name is Mud at
For not
work
following
sometimes.
for not following orders. Tell him to blow it out of his ass. All right, I'm getting confused with Ronnie. If my name was
He's
Ronald,
taking exception of being called Ronald, apparently,
you know
to bug up his.
you're being a nitpicky baby. You know that, don't you? Cut the
James, Jimmy, Jim, Mike, Michael, Mike. We're all the same people. I know
my
some people get mad if you call a certain name because they were yelled at by their folks under that name. Don't call me Susan.
the
Call
world.
me Sue.
You know, certain female words are very unpleasant, like Joan or Gertrude or Maud, uh, um,
Or
um,
Belinda.
or instead of Florence, they
Or
want
Rowena.
to be called
Or
Flo.
Consuela.
Uh, um, Consuela.
Hispanic.
Yeah, it's a Consuela. If my name was Ronald, I would put Ronald S as my YouTube name. but I do.
Oh, take it easy, Ronnie. Take it
Come
easy.
on. Listen, I go by. I always admire the King's English. There's a book of names, and Mr. Terrio knows that. There's a book of names that goes way back, and like James is came from the Hebrew word, I believe, Jacob. Um, yeah, Jacob. And then my mother called me Jimmy, but my relatives called me Jimmy. My one of my exes called me Jimmy, but the world calls me James. But that's
I
my
call
name.
you Jimmy sometimes.
Yeah. Well, who cares? You know,
Exactly. Call me Mike, Michael, Mikey. I don't care. Van,
am I gonna
MVP. I got all kinds of names.
am I gonna make a big deal out of it? I mean, come on. You know, you can call me Elmer Fudd if I'm the new Powerball lottery winner. I don't give. In other words, if I follow the orders either way, I'm wrong, and it's my fault. Well, how could it be your fault if
Time to find a new job, brother.
how come it's your fault if the order came from the stupid visor?
Get the fuck out of town with that. That's a
If,
mess. Sounds
if
like a real jackass.
the stupid visor gave you the order, then how on earth could you be wrong and you be responsible? All right,
Exactly.
let me see what's going on with Ronnie. Yes, he's giving me a headache. Where are you?
Don't call me late for dinner. We won't, brother.
I'll
Call
be.
me anything you want except for late for dinner.
Didn't I send it to you already, Ronald? Oh, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Celibate? What?
Celebrate.
Celibate is not a good time.
All right. All right, Mr. You can call me Ronnie, or you can call me Ron, or you can call me S.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, that's the
Easy
don't call
Money. Good. It was a good Rodney Dangerfield movie.
don't call me.
Easy Money.
I like that. It was Joe Pesci and Ronnie Dangerfield. Usually, when people are difficult on the internet, it indicates the person
No,
has joined some.
Pesci was in that other film he made, wasn't he? Or no, yeah, he wasn't Easy Money. Sorry, I was thinking of that one when he went back to college. I don't remember the name of that one. That was his last really big
They
movie.
made a good comedy team. Joe Pesci and Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, what was that movie where Rodney went back to school and he says to the woman, he asks her out, she has class every day of the week, and he says to her, call me sometime when you don't have class.
Yeah,
Back to school.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one too.
because if the woman has class, chances are you're not going to have too much sex. You're gonna be spending more money than the sexual.
Classy women do get impregnated and not artificially, just for the record.
They do classy women, or they're usually
Yeah, they
both.
get inseminated.
Anytime a woman says to you on her own, "I want you to know we are not going to have sex tonight," that means she's going to jump your bones.
Excellent. I found out the more women would talk about sex, you wouldn't have it. I thought it
Yeah.
was like an unspoken thing. Usually I would have it.
Okay.
Was understand.
Let me catch up with these Demdar comments. Usually, when people are difficult on the internet, it indicates they, the person, have been enjoying some beverages.
Good one.
I stay with the job because it's easy money.
Easy money.
I just overlook the aggravation as possible. Now, is that the market that has a lovely liquor department? What is that? Mathern's or something of that nature? Look, if they have a huge liquor department and they give you a good employee discount, you just ignore the nonsense because uh, um, you know what it is. This stupid advisor could be jealous of you that they know you're a retired professor and that you have light years more education than that supervisor in at that job, light years, and you also probably have light years more money than they have saved. So there is probably jealousy. And all you got to do is say, listen, you will never be me. You will never ever be
No discounts.
Ronald J. Terrio. Don't even try to be Ronald J. Terrio. You won't even come close. If you live to be 1,000, you will never be me.
Oh, he's been working there a long time and he gets no discounts. Holy shit.
He gets none. I like to help customers.
Yeah, that's what it's.
Well, I like the discounts better. Uh, I get no discounts? Son of a bitch. None? Not even 1%?
Not even a 5-finger discount?
Oh, hey, not even a five-finger discount?
Throw the stuff in the garbage. I'll pick it up when no one's looking.
Yeah, not the garbage, the gabbage. The
The
gabbage.
garbage. Throw in the garbage.
Throw the stuff.
Hello.
This is Mr. Ronald J. Terrio.
Nice to meet you, sir.
This is Mick Von Raven from Chicago.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Sorry about the confusion in the Ron and the Ronald and the Ronnie. Apologies to all Ron, Ronald, and Ronnies.
Ron. No, he's been imbibing in at the poolside. Probably.
I was saying when
I know I'm making a joke.
I was saying sometimes I think when people get difficult on the internet, they might have been drinking a little bit, having a good time.
Sauce, a little of that sauce.
Well,
There's two kind of drinkers. There's the good time drinkers, and then there's the what did you say? Drinkers, you know.
What did you say?
The intensified personality in the negative way.
I like happy.
Ooh, my watch doesn't understand.
I'm a happy drunk. I know there's people who try to start fights when they drink.
Happy drinking is the only kind for me.
Yeah, but I've run across enough of the what did you say kind of drinkers, you know.
Yeah, what did you say? You're talking to me?
What happened? What happened? What did you say? Did I hear you right? I'm like, wait a minute, we're just hanging out.
Them is fighting words.
Yeah, I mean, what is all of this? I mean,
I like your friend David's deep analysis of things. He's very analytical.
Thank you. He is up. He had a bad weekend. His father died Friday night.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's a shame. Sorry to hear that.
He called me in the morning. I'm like, why is somebody calling me at 3:30 in the morning? I was watching baseball. Well, you know me, James. I wake up so early to watch baseball highlights. So I said, why are you calling me this early? He said, well, I'm driving to my parents' house. My dad passed away last night, 79 years old. But his daddy was doing bad.
Oh,
But David
that's a shame.
Yeah, David does. Oh, thank you. David does do a good analysis, and then some of the viewers don't like him because he speaks his mind. So viewers will be like, "That dude's a jerk, man. I wish I would see him to his face." I said, "Yeah, but I bet you wouldn't say that then."
Wow.
Well, you know,
people are brave on the internet, aren't they?
Yeah, keyboard courage, as Jimmy calls it.
Keyboard courage. Yeah, it's like you're thousands of miles away, you know, and you're in your room, all comfortable in front of a keyboard.
Hey James, what time are you streaming till?
I don't know.
Because I might have to step away and come back.
Rain is here.
Oh, we've been getting thunderstorms for like 48 hours over here so far.
We had ours. They're over now. We had a bit of rain. We had a tornado watch.
It's doing nothing for the steam bath, for the heat wave. The thunderstorms, nothing.
It's helping us because when anytime rain hits, it'll start dropping that temperature, you know. And we were at 97.
Yikes.
Yeah, 97. But the rain.
Hey, I'm gonna step away and I'll come back to you, James. I'll see if you're still around. Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta run out and get something. All right. See you guys in a little bit. Bye bye.
All right, no problem. See you later, hopefully.
He comments a lot on your Facebook and stuff like that, right?
What's that?
The man that was just there.
Oh yeah. He's very active on there, and he likes heavy metal rock, and that's one of his big hobbies. Goes to concerts, and
I used to go to concerts. Oh, let me say this real fast. When I, a lot of times when I'm writing comments on your videos, I have trouble seeing up close. Like these glasses are for far away, so they're really for driving. Like even this screen is too close to me. So when I type comments and I make mistakes, it's not because I have bad grammar. Because I can't really see the word. I can't really see.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
I can't see what I'm typing.
You know what I had to do? Like,
I have
not
to
that,
do
not that it's, yeah. I mean, well, I got reading glasses from Amazon that are made of titanium, and they're the ones that you could fold into a little package and put it in your pocket of your pants, and they fold and they unfold.
But it's embarrassing because it looks like I'm uneducated and I don't know how to write.
The well, I know that voice to text has to constantly be corrected. That I know. Even if you talk slow, it's like the most.
But it's not voice. It's not voice up. It's me actually typing.
It's you typing out.
And I meant to put that is the situation, and then I put like they is the situation, and then I see it later. I'm like, oh, yeah. People gonna think, who is this bozo? This ignoramus.
Now, you were telling me before. Sounded very amusing about the Founders Breakfast Stout baby.
They years and years ago they had the baby on there. Okay, the U.S. government approved it. The U.S. government trademark office approved it and said, well, they're not encouraging babies to drink. It's obviously a joke. A baby eating porridge, get it, breakfast stout.
Breakfast stout.
So I think it was Maine or Massachusetts. They're real into making sure everything's done right. They don't have a lot of humor there. So they said their state Department of Alcohol said, oh, no, this is very offensive. This is like 2015. Very offensive. A child eating porridge on a beer bottle. So they said, you cannot sell that stout in our illustrious state. So what Founders did was they changed the label for that state. Oh, thank you, Tommy. And all they put on the label was a bowl with a spoon in it.
So the baby that looks like Archie Bunker is not there anymore.
Right. So it's just the baby. It was the porridge bowl with the spoon for that market. But then you kept having complaints. These people want children to drink. They want babies to drink. Like no one with their mind, no one in their right mind would think that, right? So
they took the bowl of oatmeal away?
In 2023, this year, 2023, they changed the label completely. Now all the label is, it says Founders Breakfast Stout. That's it.
That's like the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably have to change the name of it, right? They can't keep calling it Breakfast Stout because what do you call them? Nincompoops? They're going to say Breakfast Stout. Oh, so you want people to drink stout with breakfast? You want
put
alcoholism, that kind of thing.
Put a few. Come on, Stout Sunday. Put a few raw eggs in it, like Rocky, and drink your breakfast, instant breakfast.
They're Indians. I don't call them I call them the Indians. I don't change. No.
I don't believe in messing with tradition. You got a 75-year-old team. And they've been the Indians since, and then all of a sudden,
since 1900, not 75 years, since 1900, 122 years, 23 years.
Oh, really? The Indians? So that old?
Yeah, 1900.
Well, a lot of those teams are pretty old. The White Sox, they're old. All those teams were like actually older than the Yankees, who were the Highlanders.
Yeah. That's right.
The Baltimore Orioles, the first Baltimore Orioles, that they weren't part of Major League Baseball. They moved to New York and became the Highlanders, and then the Yankees.
That's right.
But Yeah, so they sold or traded or something. They sent Babe Ruth to the Red Sox for a while, and he was in. They found out how great of a pitcher he was and a hitter. Like
Yeah,
that
well,
guy.
well, they had the Cleveland Indians, and no one was offended until about 3 years ago. And then, but you're right, they had the Baltimore Orioles in 1901 and 1902. That team kind of went bankrupt. So
Yeah,
they
so he
sold
was
off.
like Otani. He was, I think Otani is a great pitcher and hitter, both.
Yeah, great. Babe Ruth was the only guy who pitched in the World Series and hit in the World Series. But the Orioles shut down, and the guy sold all the assets to somebody in New York City, and then they were in the Polo Grounds in Manhattan. In Manhattan, they were called the New York Highlanders.
Yeah.
And,
In those days, the Red Sox had Tris Speaker. He was
yeah.
a big star back then, and Honus Wagner was with
Oh,
the
yeah.
Pirates, which is another old team, Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, and the Pirates got their name because, well, there's a funny story. I don't know if I should say that on your channel, but I got it out of a book and I can back it up. But
No.
they had an owner, Dreyfus, and at first he couldn't get the team because the National League was saying, "Do we really want a Jewish owner?" You know. So, but they finally let him in because that was, those days in the 1800s. Like, we don't want a Jewish owner. You know.
Well, I know Ty Cobb wasn't fond of other folks.
Yeah, other folks.
And
But
he used to sharpen his spikes on the shoe when he
so but they did let Dreyfus in, and he was the owner of the Pittsburgh Baseball Club. I don't know what they didn't have a nickname, but so this guy takes over he was the owner of the club, and he was in the league, and he got a reputation for stealing other people's players, like real cutthroat owner stealing other people's players. And so everybody started calling him that pirate. That guy's a pirate.
So they didn't have these long-term contracts back then.
No. And so he got the nickname for stealing players. And it's kind of ironic in it. They didn't want him in there because of his ethnicity. And then he got a reputation for being real cutthroat business guy. And so they got the nickname the Pirates. So
Shoeless Joe Jackson was.
No, he did not get a bad rap because he knew about it and he did not report it.
Yeah, there's really it's really a very glamorous, and I mean the history of baseball with all the stories that go with it. I know, like Philadelphia had Shibe Park, which was bought by Connie Mack with McGillicuddy, I think.
Cornelius McGillicuddy, who was a pitcher in the major leagues in the 1890s, believe it or not.
Wow.
Then he became in the 80s and 90s, 1880s and 90s, pretty good player. Then he became the owner of the Philadelphia Athletics when they started the new American League in 1900. Yeah. And he owned that team from 1900, and he was the owner and the manager from 1900. Yeah, he could never get fired.
He was the manager too.
So he could never get fired because he owned the team from 1900 to 1950. He was the owner and the manager, 1900 1950.
So he was the manager forever because he was the owner. And he didn't the Phillies share the stadium, Shibe Park? The Phillies must have shared because they're an old team also.
Let me think about this.
Not as old as the Cincinnati Red Stockings.
There was some kind of thing about that. And then, but they had lost ground to the Phillies, and the man got really old. I mean, he was like 10 years past where he should have been in the elder care center, you know. So he was the last manager to wear a three-piece suit and a tie. He never got ejected. He was never ejected from a game. He was never ejected from a game as a manager. He would go out to the home plate and talk to the umpire and say, "Now the call you just made, do you find that call was appropriate considering the situation at hand. That's the way he would argue the calls, So he was never thrown out.
So he didn't pull it. Earl Weaver. He didn't kick dirt on the umpire's base,
No.
cover with
He
dirt.
he was very old fashioned, and his two sons, he was pretty, kind of getting out of it. And they said, look, you have to sell the team because Papa, you don't really know what's going on in the games. And
It's getting senile.
yeah, and that team was losing every year, and the players were just saying, okay, okay, whatever you say, just looking at each other like, what's wrong with this guy? And so they did sell the team, and then what happened with the new owner? Off to Kansas City, So
Kansas City Athletics, and then finally to Oakland. But yeah, that was in Chicago, I think, right? What was it, Wrigley Field or Comiskey Park, whatever, where he supposed
in the World Series in 1932.
He pointed to where the home run was going for the sick kid.
Yeah, the Yankees were playing the Cubs. Cubs never used to win anything. They went to the World Series, they never win, until 2016. But they were giving Babe Ruth a lot of grief over there at the stadium, calling him fatso, and other horrible things. So this was like the end in 1932. He was pretty much at the end of his career, not really doing that well.
He was it.
So he was at Wrigley Field, and he was like, okay, all right, you can say what you want. And he pointed, he did two, second pitch. He pointed out the outfield, two. When that second pitch came, bing, out of the ballpark.
He resided in Massachusetts. Like him and his wife lived in a house that I guess they decided they liked it. They didn't want to sell it. When he went to the Yankees, his house was still the same house in Massachusetts. And he, when he was young, around 2000, what am I saying? Around 1918, he got the Spanish flu, and he was bedridden. And the doctor used something that actually was proven to work and be very effective at killing viruses, bacteria, and whatever. But they don't talk about it anymore. He used colloidal silver. Because they put silver in some water filtration systems, which is bacteriostatic. It kills.
Yeah, they probably said it was fake news.
Yeah, so they gave him the silver. Back then, they used like homeopathics. It was like old time medical profession, and it cured him of the Spanish flu. And then he was back on his feet, and that was it. And I guess the conventional medical profession didn't want to use something like that, and a lot of people died. I think they had the sick beds sort of under a tent outside.
Yeah.
That was
I read about that. Yeah, as far as the sick kid story, that's
the
little sick kid in the hospital said, hey, can you hit a home run for me? Babe Ruth said, I can't just hit a home run because you called for it. He said, but you're Babe Ruth, you could do anything. So he did do it,
Yeah, he liked kids. He was very much involved with children, whether it be charity or not. But he was, despite how great he was to kids, he was a big party man.
Oh, yeah.
To say the least.
Probably had something to do with his early demise.
Yeah, he would polish off a bottle of whiskey on one train ride to another ballpark, and
eat 50 hot dogs.
He would eat a lot, and he would have women brought to his chambers like every day and night.
Probably to talk about baseball.
They want to talk about baseball. They want to get autographed. Yeah.
That was nice. That was nice that he did that.
Yeah. Well,
I want to talk about beer. Come on over, ladies. We'll talk about beer. And but they never call. But anyway, I'm just kidding.
So the White Sox scandal, they threw the game because of organized crime betting, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, 1919.
Yeah.
And some players were in on it, and some players heard about it and knew about it, but they didn't participate in it, but they didn't report it. See, that was the problem, because the commissioner said, "Wait a minute, you knew about it, but you didn't report it. That means you might be in on it, but we just can't prove it. So you're out." And they put them all out.
It's like Pete Rose when he managed the Reds, and he was that's like inside trading or something.
Yeah, I mean that guy was betting on games in the dugout, and now he's crying. You should let me back into the league. It's like, no, they knew you were doing it, and they warned you like 50 times, but you
That's why
ignored.
that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right. I mean, they were on to him for so long, and I think they told him, basically, look, you need to cool it because we know what you're doing. And he was like, Pete Rose. But I read about him. I read a book about him. That guy grew up on kind of like on the streets in Cincinnati. He was involved with organized crime as a teenager. He was kind of like Henry Hill in that movie Goodfellas. He was like grew up with that, and he was known as a guy like that. And he was a player that people considered a dirty player, like running people over at home plate and stuff. He was kind of like a guy. I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He knew what he was doing, but he was a shady kind of guy. You know the type of person like that.
Yeah, like if the catcher was blocking home plate, you knew he was going to plow into him in a very aggressive.
Yeah, but doing it during an All-Star game.
Nah, that's not right.
Hit the guy and broke his I think collarbone, and the guy never had a career after that. I mean, why are you doing that in an All-Star game? That's not even a real. That's like Rocky. He thinks it's a damn fight. He don't know it's a damn show, But he knew it was a show. That's just the point of it. That's malicious. The All-Star game is not.
No, it's exhibition. It's like the home run derby. It's really a show. It doesn't mean anything.
But that's him. And boy, they got people that get angry at me when I say that. I'm not against Pete Rose. I don't dislike Pete Rose. I just know the circumstances. I'm not stupid.
Yeah. Now Barry Bonds is crying about.
Crying now.
He wants to be in the Hall of Fame. Not if you were on steroids hitting all those home runs.
And you know what card he's trying to play?
I know.
The ace of spades.
Yeah, he's trying to use the card. He's trying to use that card to get into the Hall of Fame based on political correctness and look at poor me. I deserve special treatment. Boo hoo hoo.
You can't use the race card though, because there's a whole lot of non-Barry Bonds like people that are also not going to get into that Hall of Fame because of the same situation. They know they were on the juice.
Yeah. You had Jason Giambi. You had the Bash brothers there. You had a bunch of people.
They went into Major League and they were skinny like me, and they come out and they're big like the Von Erichs. They're big like the Von Erichs.
Yeah, I mean, Barry Bonds, when he started with the Pittsburgh Pirates, was slender like his father, and then all of a sudden he got really big. Sammy Sosa, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, all those guys, Giambi, they were juicing. Even that pitcher that was with the Red.
It's not folklore, Tommy, but it's probably played up a little bit bigger than it really was. Yeah.
Yeah, what's this?
Talking about is it folklore that Babe Ruth? What am I partaking of? Oh, nothing special, Tommy. Just regular old macros. I remember when Mark McGuire was leaving the major leagues about 20 years ago. At his last year as a player, I used to watch him leaving the field when he'd walk off the field. I would notice his hands would be shaking. It's like 38 years old. Why would your hands have tremors at
Yeah,
38?
he finished with the Cardinals. He was with the St. Louis Cardinals
Right.
when he finished his career.
I think that's normal for your hands to have tremors when you're 38, 39.
Well, if you're walking off the field and you see both hands kind of like doing this, it's not normal.
When I saw that, I said, "That's the chemicals. That's the chemicals."
Trying to think of that picture. It was they highly suspect was on steroids too. He was with the Red Sox.
Roger Clemens.
Yeah, Clemens, Roger Clemens. Yeah.
You see, when those guys were juiced up, they would act crazy. Like Roger Clemens, when the guy hit the bat, he hit the ball and the bat broke, and he picked up a piece of the sharp bat and threw it at the batter. It's like, how is that the batter's fault? I mean, the bat broke. That's the kind of behavior those people would engage in when they were juiced up on that stuff. Like that's like real high testosterone stuff.
I watched a video. I watched a video on YouTube of sports press, the sports media, trying to interview Mark McGuire in the locker room, and he was very nasty. Oh, like he used to fly off the handle for every little thing. Every little thing the man said, he would like, get very aggressive with him, nasty.
And I think that was those chemicals, and they get so agitated,
Yeah,
I bet they were a barrel of laughs. I bet they were a barrel of laughs back at home. Huh?
Probably. Well, I mean, there are people who are nasty at the media who are not on steroids, like Bill Parcells when he was coach of the New York Giants. He because they used to bust his chops. They used to. Well, you lost the game. You have any idea why you lost the game? And they would approach him when, like he used to go to the sports bar and restaurant and get something to eat and relax. And people would constantly approach him with questions. You know how the New York sports media.
Yeah, he's trying to just eat a meal.
Yeah, you lost the game today. Why do you think that happened? I would say because the other team got more points than us. It's like
when I go out in New Orleans, sometimes I see celebrities, but I never approach them. I never ask them for autographs. I never bother them. I just see them,
Now, this friend of mine that lives in southern Louisiana told me about this Italian place by you, Angelo Broccato.
Oh, Angelo Broccato, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, does he have some kind of cafe or restaurant or both?
I've never been to Angelo Broccato. There's also an ice cream place.
Like a gelato?
Yeah. But supposedly they're connected to people. I can't talk about it.
They're connected to people. Hey, you want some gelato? What about a cannoli?
Yeah, and Venezia. I went to Venezia Pizza. There's Venezia Pizza, and there's the Broccato Gelato place next door. But when I went there years ago, the lady I was with said, this place is connected to the, can't say it. But,
Yeah, but did they have quality foods?
Oh yeah, the best pizza, best Italian food, best gelato.
So if you went there and you had dinner and a gelato or a tiramisu or
still open. Open. You make trouble though, they find you floating in the bayou, but
the bayou, with the crawdads will be. The alligators will have.
I used to know a woman that worked for those that family. That family in New Orleans There was
They
a
were-
lady I knew. She worked for that family in New Orleans. All right. She said the man that ran her area gave her a washing machine and dryer once. Just gave it to her. And then she wanted to quit. She said she wanted to quit the job, but she said with him, you didn't just quit the job. She went to ask him, "Can I quit the job?" He told her, "Have a good life. Have a good life." But she didn't go just say, "I'm quitting." She said, I wanted to know if it would be okay if I quit. But she told me stories about the kind of bar rooms they ran on the west bank of the Mississippi River from New Orleans, on the other side of the river from New Orleans. These bar rooms. Now, another person I talked to said they used to let underage people drink in there. But the lady told me, we never let underage people drink in there. Never. I can tell you what she did tell me, though, if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
She said they had women hired at the bar that worked there all day. Well, really all night. It was nighttime usually.
Hustling for drinks.
Yeah, men would come in and the women be trying to flirt with them, and the men would buy them all kind of drinks. So in the back, yeah, in the back room, they would get the drinks for the women. It would be almost all water. Say, I want gin. And then the man, it was like the cheapest gin, cheapest rum. Go out there, charge all kind of exorbitant prices. And then the man's talking to the girl, yeah, baby, you know, and he's like, you know, and it would lead up to the end point, like, hey, you want to go off with me? And the girl would say, oh, no, I'm not interested in you. What? I bought all these drinks. And if you would raise hell, then the tough guys would come out the back room. Hey, get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of this place there. Out, you, vamoose.
Of course, they make him pay first, you know. But
so the girls would pretty much act like Mae West. They would flirt with the patrons, and they would sucker them into, hey, big boy, you're gonna buy a lady a drink.
And they worked there all night. And then whatever guy would come in, he'd be so stupid, he'd think this 25-year-old girl was interested in him, you know. Oh, and it was like going all night. The girls would get mostly water to drink, and the guys would get some cheap cocktail with some exorbitant price. This is like 1962, 63. And it would be the same story all night. The guy would get angry when the girl wouldn't go home with him. And when he would raise a ruckus, then the guys would come out the back and say, you better get out of here.
Get out of here. So in other words, it was racketeering. It was a racket.
Yeah, it was a racket. I knew some guys when we went to Costa Rica in 1985. Some guys that were with us got caught up in that in Costa Rica, but they went to jail. That's a really funny story. They went to jail.
Yeah, the problem is the United States. I just want to mention, Roger Maris. He was, I guess, a one-hit wonder, right? He had maybe that year and then a few other years that were great. And like, in other words, it was a fluke. It wasn't his whole entire career that was fruitful. It was prolific. That's what I'm saying. It's a shame he got sick. You know, he died of cancer.
Yeah.
What was I going to say about Roger Maris became a Budweiser distributor. I know his son was in Florida. That was watching the Yankee game with Aaron Judge's mom. Because he was rooting for Aaron Judge, Roger Maris Jr.
I don't know why they picked on Roger Maris like he was the enemy. I mean, I get the point. He scored more home runs, but it took more games. That everybody gets that. You know, he didn't do it in the same amount of games as Babe Ruth. Okay, but like to pick on the guy like he was trash, you know, that doesn't make. He didn't do anything wrong. What was he supposed to do? Not hit a home run. But yeah, that Costa Rica story is pretty funny from 1985. If you want to hear it.
Well, there are certain. The government this year has warned American tourists to avoid certain countries, mostly first world countries, to visit on vacation because there's a lot of scams. There's dangerous scams. You know, like they'll slip you a Mickey. The girl will slip you a Mickey at the bar, and before you know it, you're missing some of your organs for the black market
and all your money.
And your money, yeah, and so they're advising like Thailand. Definitely Burma's the worst. Don't even go near there. Myanmar now.
Yeah, Myanmar, Burma. Yeah.
Myanmar, it's really very corrupt, and people are kidnapped and tortured. It's horrible. Anyway, the story about
Yeah, and you don't want to really. You probably want to avoid Thailand, really, especially Bangkok. If you go around there, you're just asking for it. You know? But
you're asking for trouble.
We went to my mother died in '84, so my grandmother felt sorry for me. So she asked me in my senior year in high school, "Do you want to go with me to Costa Rica?" I said, "Well, I can't afford going to Costa Rica." She said, "Well, I'll pay for it. We'll just go for a week." Well, if somebody tells me they're going to bring me to Costa Rica for a week, yeah, it's not a true record in that sense. You're right. All right, so I didn't have to pay anything. All it cost me $50, you know, just to spending money. So we went to Costa Rica. And we went on a tour group from New Orleans with these people. I didn't know any of these people. It's a lot of men, probably in their 40s, single. Okay. I was 17, but a lot of these guys were 41, 42, 43, single. So we go down there, go to San Jose. And my grandmother was like very liberal in the sense like, well, look, I want to have fun this week. I don't want to really deal with a youngster. You go do what you want all week. I'll be doing my thing. So I just went all over the country alone by myself, 17, which was a lot of fun, but dangerous, I guess, but fun. And I never got lost or anything. So didn't speak Spanish. Yeah. So anyway, the first night, it was like, it was Friday night, but then Saturday night. Okay. So Saturday night, those guys all wanted to go out. And they wanted me to go with them, 17. You know, they didn't care in Costa Rica what age you were for the. I went to the casino. They didn't care. Drinking, they didn't care. But I wasn't going out with those guys. I saw trouble. So they went out. Now, the next morning, they were complaining in an uproar at the Hotel Irazu. We were at Hotel Irazu in San Jose. They were furious because they all went to jail at night.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they went to jail. They go to this bar in San Jose. Okay, fine. Drinking. Well, they got these senoritas, right? And they all talking to the senoritas. Oh, hey, how you doing? You know. So and the girls are fine looking. So they say, "You want some champagne?" I love champagne. I love champagne.
I love champagne. Yeah.
Champagne. I love champagne.
I love champagne. The champagne.
So the bar room is bringing out these cheap bottles of champagne, like stuff over here that in the United States would be $8 a bottle. All right, you know the cheap brand. All right, so the girls are drinking it, probably drinking water, like the story I told earlier. They drinking. They got all kind of bottles of champagne. The girls never wanted to go home with them, of course. So around 12 midnight, 1 in the morning. The waiter comes up. Oh, senors, I hope you had a great time. Well, here's the bill. And they looked at the bill and they said, $1,400. $1,400 for champagne and some little snacks. So they said, $1,400. And one of the guys said, there's no way we're paying $1,400. Soon as they said there's no way we're paying $1,400, 5 cops came running out the back room in uniform. Oh, you're trying to not pay the bill. So they arrested them all for not paying the bill, took them to the central lockup, and they said, oh, you're not getting out until, of course, what?
Until they get their palms greased.
Till you pay the $1,400, and you know the cops were in on it, of course,
and other fees.
Yeah, other administrative fees. And the cops were, you know as well as I do, those cops are waiting in that back room for the magic word. I'm not paying this $1,400.
I'm not paying this.
So the guys were in an uproar, and they were saying at the hotel, "We're going to the consulate. We're going to the U.S. consulate. We're going to get the embassy. You know, we're going to get our money back." And I was thinking to myself at 17. Yeah, let's see that happen. You ain't getting that money back.
Yeah,
but that's how those Latin American countries are. It's like, you're going to pay the money, or are you just going to stay in jail? They don't care.
You're going to stay there and rot.
Yeah, ain't a very nice jail either.
It is extortion and corruption, and you're right about Thailand. The gender reassignment is very common.
Oh, the lady boys,
Yeah, the women with the Adam's apple,
the lady boys. Yeah, they're everywhere over there.
the lady boys, or no Adam's apple. Maybe they have it filed.
If you're stupid enough to, but let's be honest, James. If you're stupid enough to go over there and believe the hype, what do you think you're getting into? I mean, you're
Yeah,
just
yeah. They say that you got to watch out in the Philippines too. You know, it's a first world. I'm sorry,
third.
third world countries. I guarantee all the governments of third world countries are very corrupt, and there's scams everywhere. I mean, yes, they kidnap for rant for they hold you for ransom and among other things. Um, um, like even the tiniest scam. When I was in Margarita Island, Venezuela, we went to a restaurant for brunch, and they brought us the menu, and the menu was in Spanish. So the girl I was with was Colombian, and but she was raised in the United States. But they could tell she's American Hispanic by the way she pronounced the words. So anyway, the they had their money is called bolivars in Venezuela, not pesos. Bolivars.
Bolivars, yeah.
Bolivars, named after I guess General Bolivar.
Simon Bolivar.
Yeah. So the prices were very low, and in Spanish. And then she says, "Well," she says, "Do you have a menu in English for me?" They brought out the menu in English, and then as we were ordering, she says, "By the way, I hope you're going to charge us the prices on the Spanish menu, because these prices are much higher than the original menu." And they're like, "Oh yeah, yes, yes, senor. We would charge you the price from the original menu." You know, but look at how many tourists probably get suckered into paying more, and then a lot of Europeans went there. So we met a lot of people from the United Kingdom, from Germany. So they said, "How would you like to try? Would you like to try some bread from the Indians?" I said, "Oh, bread. I like the bread you have here. You know, arepas and corn cakes and all this stuff." Well, they charge separate. I'm so used to a restaurant bringing you a basket of bread and rolls, complimentary. Everything was separate. Everything was separate.
I know. I went to. It even happens over here. I went to a Mexican restaurant earlier this month. All right. Champagne. Yes, I have, Tommy.
Champagne.
So I went to a Mexican restaurant this month. See, they should tell you stuff up front. Filipino women in Manila. Well, you hope it's a woman. But anyway, so I went to this Mexican restaurant in local here, 2 towns over. And I said, "I'm gonna get this to go." Oh yes, senor, to go. Yes, senor. So here's the amount. I get the bill. Here's the amount. I'm just getting it to go. Here's the amount, and it's like they're focusing. And here it is if you want to fill in the tip. It's like tip for
You gotta if you don't if you feel they don't deserve a tip, put a line through it.
I'm trying to figure out what the tip is for. Ordering something to go at a counter.
No, nobody deserves a tip if you're ordering takeout. You're ordering takeout. So
The girl's sitting there eating her food, looking at her phone, and I came in there, and they were like, it was like an aggravation. Oh, well, we got to serve somebody. Okay, well, anyway, that's okay as long as the food is good. Then I get the bill, and there's a fee, non-cash fee, because I used my credit card. I'm like, they should tell you that ahead of time. Well, you know, there's a fee if you use a credit card. It's all these little juiced in things that these companies do. You know, non-cash fee?
Well, there's a non-cash fee, but it's very small. But if they jacked it up, like like in in Mexico, when we were driving through the desert in Baja, of course you got to stop at gas stations, otherwise you've got big problems because there's no Wi-Fi signal. There's no.
Oh, look at this comment. You can get ripped off right here in the U.S. as well.
Well, if
Women in the U.S. always want fancy dinners now and cocktails.
If you want to get acquainted, go insist on having like a cappuccino and a croissant or a muffin or something. Go for coffee, or if you meet them online, have video chats with them, and you can get acquainted with video chats. And then if there's no chemistry, you don't meet them.
Right. So what now? You were saying the story.
Oh, the story about the gas stations. It were called Pemex, and they were all leaded gas. They were not non-leaded gas. Anyway,
Petroleum Mexico, Pemex, Petroleum Mexico.
Yeah. So when you would gas up, and you would pay with your card, your Visa, they if it's Southern Baja, they don't accept American cards for some reason. If it's Northern Baja, they accept it. But what they would do is they would give you a dishonest exchange rate, dollars to pesos. It wouldn't be the going international rate.
It'd be their own special rate.
It will be their own special rate, depending on what side of the bed they got up on. So it could be small scams, and hold on, it's going. Brian's a good visitor. Charging for bread, and when they try to ask still or sparkling, is the charge always order tap?
Yeah, tap water. But you may not want to order tap water in Mexico.
No, because you'll have the runs. You'll have Montezuma's revenge. They ask for a tip on coffee shops now. What?
And even in self-checkout at CVS.
Really? What the hell is going on?
Hey, go to a baseball game. Look, go to a baseball game and order a hot dog and a soft drink, and there's a big jar, tip jar.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the high price of the hot dog and the soft drink or the beer.
Yeah, there's a tip jar.
So they give you a 1 cup of, let's say, it's a macro, nothing fancy, and they would charge you ridiculous prices.
Well, if it's a beer, it's going to be $9 for Busch beer, and if it's a Coca-Cola, it'll be $7, which will be mostly ice.
Tommy said.
Cork fee, yeah, cork fee.
Would you guys know if there is also something called cork fee? You mean the fee for them to pull the cork out of the bottle, and then they stick the cork where the sun don't shine, right?
Cork fee, yeah. So it's a whole bunch of hosing going on.
There's a lot of hosing. Yeah, there was a video of a pizza guy who was mad about a $5 tip on a $20 pizza. He yelled at the customer, told them, "Nice house." Well, 15% is the going rate for gratuity, or propina, as they say in Spanish. The 15% is not. They shouldn't yell at you.
No, people are crazy. They're out of their minds.
It's like somebody I know handed one of those homeless vagabondos, winos, a $5 bill. "Oh, you could have gave me a 20." He goes, unbelievable.
Yeah, so, give me a 20, yeah.
So you really now Bank of America, which is very big, very popular.
Originally known as Bank of Italy, by the way.
Yeah, well, who knows?
True story. That's a true story. Look it up. It's called
Bank of Antarctica. So Bank of America, I chose them because they have more ATMs in every state in the country, and it's good to have a lot of ATMs because then you don't have to pay a fee if you need petty cash.
Right.
Now, they have a travel visa now where anywhere in the world you buy something, let's say you're in a restaurant and it's a place that accepts Visa, which 9 times out of 10 it will be. You get the exact going international exchange rate for the money. You don't have somebody like Mr. Pemex there making up his own exchange rate.
Right. One rate, the same rate for everywhere you go.
Right. Whatever the exchange rate is for that given day, that's what you're billed. That's what you're billed. And I said, he says, well, the only thing you should do is notify the bank when you're leaving the country and where you're going, so we know not to block any of the purchases, because they have a good system where, like one time I got a call from Bank of America and they said, were you in this specific town in California at a Target department store buying this, that, the other thing? And I go, no. I says, I've been here in New Jersey for months. And they froze the transaction and they sent me a new card.
I had that happen before when they contacted me and said something's wrong, you know. But yeah, I have Bank of America for some of my services. Yeah, I've always had good service with them. Yeah, it's an interesting history. Bank of America. It started in San Francisco, California, long time ago, and they were called Bank of Italy, and they it was for Italian. It was really like it was started for Italian immigrants, and then it got big, and they changed the name to Bank of America. Probably a good decision there.
Yeah, Bank of. Well, at one time, Italy had lira, which was like confetti. It wasn't worth very much.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one time my grandfather had a big fight with this car dealer, new car dealer, because they wanted to charge him for things that should normally come with the vehicle. You know, everything said. That's almost like saying, well, the keys will cost you this amount. The engine, yeah, they said they had the engine.
That happened with me. That happened with me 2 years ago. I went to a car dealership in New Orleans, and I saw these new Nissan cars.
Oh man!
So I wanted to buy a new, because the truck, you know, my truck was nice, but it's kind of big for driving around. It was so big. So I wanted to get a 4-door car, and I got on the internet. I looked up the Nissan price. I said, oh, that's a great price for that 4-door. So I went to the Nissan place in New Orleans, and they showed me the car. I drove it around a lot, a little bit, and I said, oh, it's very nice. I like it. I'll buy it. He said, okay. So they had a really good price. So he's like, yep, this is the price. I said, now let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. He said, oh, I don't mind. I said, does your place charge what we call a dealer fee? A dealer fee? He said, well, yeah, actually, we do charge an extra $1,400 to wash and wax the car and put an etching on the window to make sure it doesn't get stolen. I said, I'm not paying a dealer fee. I'm paying the price of the car plus the tax, which you don't get any of the tax. He said, well, every customer here pays the dealer fee.
Really?
Said, not this customer.
Not this customer. You know, my uncle, when I was young, my uncle Artilio, you know what he told the dealer? He says, if I buy the car, you're going to take your advertisement for the dealership off the back of the car? They go, no. He says, you take, if you want me to drive around advertising your dealership, you got to take $1,000 off the price of the car. He says, I'm not driving around advertising your dealership for free, which actually wasn't a bad idea. It made a lot of sense. Like you're driving around.
They still have their little decal on the back of mine.
The decal, yeah. So they're ripping you off, and then you're promoting their dealership as you drive to and fro. You know.
Yeah, and then when the guy told me about I have to pay the dealer fee, He says, well, anyway, he says, before we start talking about that, we have to go check your credit and do, yeah, you hear that?
I hear it.
We got to go do the financing and check your credit. And I said, hold on a second. You're not going to check my credit and do financing. I'm going to write a check for the full amount of the car right now. Okay. I'm going to give you a check for the full amount of the car. And I'm not paying a dealer fee. So the guy looked at me for a second and he says, hold on a minute. I'm going to go talk to my manager. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, take it or leave it.
So he comes back a few minutes later. Okay, look, the manager says we can do this deal without the fee, but you can't go around telling anybody, okay? I said, okay, buddy. You know, but I would bet you 99% of the customers that buy a car, they'll pay that fee.
So the Kelly book value wasn't enough for them. They're charging people this
$1,400 extra.
And what does the dealer fee do? That's like you donating money to one of those crooked charities, you know, March of Dimes, what the hell's the other one? United Way.
They call it a prep. They call it a automobile preparation fee. But then it doesn't. It's like, yeah, it doesn't do anything, James. It doesn't do anything. It's just
if it's new, what is the prep? The tires are new. The inside is immaculate. What is the prep?
It's just a way to get you out of more money. And then the next step, they try to sell you an extended warranty. Well, now we got this extended warranty. It's only $2,800, and if the car breaks past the regular warranty, we'll repair it. And I'm like, wow, this car must be really bad if you need to sell an extended warranty. Well, you know, so what they do is they'll sell a car for $20,000. By the time you pay all the fees, now you're paying $26,000. Then you got to pay the tax on top. But I don't give in. I'm not ugly to them, and I don't get into fights with them. But I just say no.
Now, if you're buying a vehicle that has a great reputation for quality, like my sister got a Honda Accord. You don't need no extended warranty on a Honda Accord.
No, and I didn't think I needed one on a Nissan.
No, not on a Nissan. I mean, I rented one time in the Florida Keys. We flew to Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale Airport, and I rented a Nissan Maxima. And let me tell you, it was a 4-cylinder engine, but you wouldn't know it with the acceleration power and the great mileage and smooth ride, quiet, you know, you know, you can't go wrong with any of those big companies. Now, Masumi drives a I don't know if it's bigger than the Camry. She drives a new Camry, but it's called a Crown.
Oh yeah, Toyota Crown.
And in the United States, I told her, you know, they used to call the car a Toyota Corona.
The Corona. That was the fancy Toyota, yeah.
Right, which is probably like one step above the Camry, and one step or below the what is it, the Lexus?
Boy, those Coronas were nice. Boy, I remember those.
Yeah, Toyota Corona, which means crown. So over there they call it Crown, and you know, their steering wheel's on the other side, like in the United Kingdom. It totally discombobulates my brain. But anyway, it's, you could see it's a luxury car. It's big, but you don't need extended warranties.
Oh no.
Certain vehicles.
Consumer Reports says people should never pay. Well, I got to say this, Brian. The salesman was very nice to me. He was not aggressive at all. And he knew I wasn't there to play games. I just made that clear. I was not there to play games. And he knew it. And he wanted to make a sale, and he was able to walk away with money. So why not? Brian,
you know who should get a a decent base salary and commission. Baseball players, like especially those that don't want to hustle, they don't want to produce.
Yeah, don't want to run out of, don't want to run. They hit a pop fly, don't want to run to first base.
Yeah,
Just
like with the Yankees, who the heck was it? Was it Giancarlo Stanton? One of the outfielders just let the ball drop in front of him because he didn't feel like running for it. You know, like in other words, he committed an error. Well, a ball player should not get $1 squillion a year
to be lazy.
to be lazy and to not be productive, and that's why I think they should their batting average, their now they look at everything, like even like
On base percentage. No. Well, look, I gotta go. I'm not trying to be ugly or rude, but
no, it's getting late for me anyway. It's 6 p.m. here.
yeah. Well, it's good seeing you, James, and thanks for letting me join.
Yeah, it was great having you, and I'm gonna order either a big calzone or Chinese food or something, but I didn't realize how much time flew. And
Yeah.
you know, Mick, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe
Well, he had something to do, you know.
he had
But
something to
it
do.
was nice meeting him. All right, well, y'all take care now.
Bye bye. Take care, Ronald.
Okay, thank you.
Nice seeing you. Ronnie S. Is by the poolside. Anyway, this wraps it up for this week's progressive discussions. Next Saturday will be episode 2, season 1, episode 2, the second show of with Paul Anthony Mantia, called Northern Lights Tie-Dyed TV, and you're going to see something different with every show. And since the debut went so damn well last night, we're going to do it again. So we got the